I'm Justin Hayek, investment advisor with PI Financial. Join me on a ride with today's top CEOs. Hear the stories of their greatest achievements and failures. Get the inside on their secrets to investing and the latest on their next big deal. This is Car Ride Confessions of a CEO. Joining me on today's ride is Fabiana Lara, creator of The Next Big Rush, a YouTube channel focused on helping investors. Speaking openly about her own experiences and lessons learned has built her a devout following within the investment community. Ready for the hard questions?
Of course.
Okay, good. So you've got a vlog.
Yes.
We'll call it that. Hopefully that's fair.
Sure.
Called The Next Big Rush. Maybe you can tell viewers a little bit about that.
Sure. So The Next Big Rush is basically just a channel on YouTube where I talk about what I'm doing with my money, and I don't disclose everything, but I do disclose some of the lessons that I'm learning through investing and speculating, most often in the junior stocks. And so maybe I'll come out and say, I invested in this. This is why I invested in this particular stock, and it hasn't worked out yet, or it has, and this is what I've learned through investing. And so, I just try to bring lessons to the public, and it seems like people have really been enjoying following me. From maybe 3 years back to now, and to see how I've learned and how I've progressed.
Other than YouTube, are you across any other social media platforms?
Yeah, so I'm on Twitter.
What's your handle?
Quite a bit. It's at The Next Big Rush.
Okay, good.
So people can follow me there as well. And yeah, those are, the biggest platforms I'm in, Twitter and YouTube.
Yeah, okay, cool. And now what gave you the idea and the courage really to go and do this, The Next Big Rush, to put yourself out there and talk about, your wins and your losses in such a public forum?
Well, I know how to make videos. I had made lots of videos in sort of a previous life for my day job, and so I knew how to do that. I knew how to get across to people and sort of have that almost that bond with the public by being transparent, by saying, hey, this is what's going on and this is what I'm learning. You can, take it or leave it. I wanted what I got now with my talk, which is to have industry insiders say, hey, I like what you're doing, come and speak here, to get a little bit of that attention so that I could learn more. Because I think that I could never say this enough. This is very much a relationship business.
Yeah.
It's all about who you know, and it doesn't matter whether, you think that's a good thing or a bad thing. The truth is, especially because it's such a small market, knowing the right people will likely get you to the right place.
You touched on you got into investing in the mining sector. Why the mining sector specifically? What was it that was attractive to you about that particular sector?
I kept hearing the mining stocks are leveraged to the price of silver, and that was the message that was sort of in the background of every Silverbug video way back when. And so I thought, well, then what am I doing, just buying silver?
You were buying physical silver.
Yeah, buying physical silver,
yeah.
Some of which I hold to this day as a token of, okay, let's remember this lesson.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, so let's take a look at the shares, at the stock. And then I started to, get into stocks, but mostly mining stock.
Okay. So how did you educate yourself about mining in the mining sector?
Oh, I lost a bunch of money. That's
the most expensive lesson.
It is.
Yeah.
People think that you can just invest and make money, but the truth is, I think that for most people, unless they have somewhat of a mentor to begin with, you get into it, you lose money, and that's your paid tuition. And hopefully you'll stick around long enough in order to, next time you get into stocks, then you know better from what you've lost in the past.
And so what is your own investment philosophy? How do you go about making an investment decision?
This is my philosophy. But finding, say, a commodity or a theme that's undervalued, that's unloved, that people aren't talking about or care about. And then what I do is I try to have a look at a lot of companies within that sector. Say uranium is something that I talk about all the time, right? So I would take a look at uranium, look at all the companies that I can find that are either producing or developing at the very least. And then if I see all of them suffering, then it means the problem is the commodity, not the companies in and of themselves, most likely. And so if I like that, if I believe that the price is going back up, then that is sort of a commodity that I would go into.
What commodities do you like right now? What are you investing in commodities-wise?
I love uranium.
Yeah.
I like copper long term. I don't like copper right now.
Okay.
And it's not like I know very much about copper, but it's just I have an innate sense that China isn't doing all that well from what you're hearing and from what you're seeing numbers wise. And I don't think that copper could, shoot to the moon if China is not doing well.
You kind of talked about investment philosophy, but do you have a criteria that you kind of like a checklist that you look for when you're trying to assess a deal?
I like anything under, say, 150 million market cap, usually more so than bigger things that everybody knows about.
Yeah.
I do like, companies that have already delineated a resource of sorts. And I like, the stuff that's unloved. Like that's why I talk about uranium all the time, because it's only now that people are, starting to notice that, hey, the big guys are actually stockpiling on uranium proper, like the actual yellow cake.
Yeah. What's the best and the worst investments you've ever made? And what did you learn from those experiences?
I lost a great deal of money, I'd say close to 75%, on a deal that was, people thought that they would find a huge, platinum, nickel ore body in Canada. And again, this was a pre-discovery play that everybody said, if they hit it, this is going to be huge. And then starts all the speculation, the people chatting in the forums, and the price starts to pick up. And then you're thinking, well, it's still a small market cap, but if they find what they're looking for, which, I could tell you that I'm looking for the next 10 million ounce gold mine, it doesn't mean that it's there, right?
Sure.
But it's just that psychology of everybody is getting in. Do I want to miss out? FOMO.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I've restricted myself to only putting, a very small amount towards those bets, because to me they're bets. And it turned out that they hit dusters. Biggest gainer, well, there's a few I could talk about. I think Ivanhoe was probably one of the biggest gainers for me.
Okay.
Yeah, because, and obviously that was one of my very first investments. And so looking back, I probably should have, sold everything I had and put it all into Ivanhoe. But it was exactly what I said. It was buying something for cash or lower than cash that has absolutely everything going for it. Management, they had money, they had the project. I mean, obviously, when you see something like that, something about the story is off. In this case, if you're in the Congo, there is a price you're paying for that. But at the end of the day, if you have everything else and the jurisdiction isn't 100% safe, you still have a great shot at making a lot of money. So I think Ivanhoe percentage-wise was one of my best plays. Just too bad I didn't have that much money into it.
Thoughts right now on the mining market, broadly speaking, and maybe you can elaborate on certain commodities.
Interesting question. I have a feeling, just a gut feeling, talking to people and talking to investors mostly, I feel like it's kind of lukewarm at the moment, where people are rather reshuffling the decks instead of like going heavy and investing in more stuff. At least that's the sense that I've been getting.
Anything that you want to kind of touch on or elaborate on, or?
Yeah, well, I just want to tell people that if they just go back and study what's happened in the past in this industry, just look at the numbers. Maybe waiting 2-3 years in order to get, you know, I don't know, a 3-bagger or something like that is nothing, because when you put that into context, then you'll see that yearly, even compounded, you did really, really well.
Yeah.
And so just, I would encourage people to have a longer term view on investing and speculating in general, and just try to see, you know, how long can you wait in order for things to plan out. For example, I expect uranium to yield me, you know, at least 3 to 5 baggers on most of my portfolio. And so if I'm going to do that, how long can I wait doing 0 returns in order to get to that goal?
Yeah, great point.
And when you put that into a calculator, it's a no-brainer, because, you know, you'll find that you can probably wait a good 5 to 10 years before things happen. So that's why I'm so calm with my investments, and I don't mind waiting for them to pan out, as long as I'm in the right commodity.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining me on this episode of Car Ride Confessions of a CEO. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Many thanks to Fabiana for joining me on this episode. I really enjoyed chatting with her, and hopefully you enjoyed on her perspective and her outlook on things. So do yourself a favor, follow her on YouTube and on Twitter. I believe she's someone worthwhile following, and she comes into this industry with a fresh perspective on things, and I think that's something that's needed and quite frankly very much encouraged.